All right, my beautiful people, welcome back to the Ultra Rare channel. My name is Mars, for those of you who don't know, and as you can see by the title of this video, we are going to be talking about the future of Final Fantasy XIV. Now, before we even get into this video, I have to put this disclaimer out that everything that I say in this video is nothing but my opinion. Nothing is facts. Nothing needs to be checked because it's probably not true. And I'm going off of my experience for playing the game for about 5.5 months straight through. I have yet to do all the content in the game, but I do know what most of the content in the game is. So throughout this video, if you hear me saying things that's already in this game, then please just let me know down in the comments, hey, at this moment this is already in the game. Better be, there's no need for name callings because I don't care. There's no need for telling me it's not gonna happen because I don't care. This is just my speculation of what I will want to see after my experience of playing the game that I'm still playing and I currently love and enjoy. Okay, now let's get into it. Okay, I'm yapping in the beginning too much. The first thing I want to talk about is content, the future of the content in the game. This is nothing crazy. I have a few different points and bulletins that I want to talk about. And one of the first things is maybe adding a challenge mode to the game. Previously, when I was unlocking the raids for all of Final Fantasy, all the old raids, I was doing some of them unsynced because I was high level 100 and some of these were level 50 and 60 quests. And upon doing that, I got stuck on a couple of bosses because I had to beat them before they did their tank bust move on me, and that was by far was probably one of the funnest moments in time playing this game that I had because it was an actual challenge. I really had to get my rotation down perfectly to a T to be able to beat this boss before that checkpoint came, and that gave me the idea for challenge modes, like have DPS challenge modes, healing challenge modes, tank challenge modes, and everything else in between. All these different kinds of challenge modes where I have to beat a certain amount of thing or just do a challenge. We know what challenge modes are in games, right? If there's something like this, it can't be like how it was when I was fighting this boss and I could not beat the boss because I kept dying because of that checkpoint. I want things like that. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be anything, but something that allows me to gauge how good of I am at my role that I'm doing. Cool, right? That's one piece of content that I would like to see. Another thing would be like a PvE, PvP type of game mode, right? Hear me out. We have dungeons. I know that's just regular PvP, and then we have PvP. Now let's take something and put it together, get the PvP, PvE type of thing. And the one thing that I have is like the game mode in some games where they have the payload and you got to move the payload and you got to, you know, protect the payload and get it to a certain destination. Now imagine there being a dungeon, right? A straight line dungeon. You're running down a straight line, and to the left of you is one team, and to the right of you there's another team, and it's 4 people, you know, each role, just like it would be a regular dungeon. But now we have to protect this payload and get it to this checkpoint all the way at the end of the dungeon, to right. And during the dungeon there's different checkpoints, right? Now the first check, I'm just randomly, doesn't have to be in this order, I'm just giving an example. Now the first checkpoint is a healing checkpoint, right? Meaning the healer has to be on point because there's going to be waves of enemies coming to attack this payload and they're going to be hitting hard. Now either the healer has to protect the payload and keep the heals up also while healing the other teammates around here, right? Cool, bet. And now everybody's at the part at the same time. Now whoever has the most health, which payload ever has the most health at this point wins, right? Wins that round, wins that checkpoint. Now we have 3 other checkpoints to go through. The next one is the tank. Now the tank has to hold everything and make sure how to learn how to when to use his mitigations and when to use his tank buster stopper abilities and so on and so forth, and make sure when to grab the aggro from the different enemies and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, you know, you're still getting healed. This is just for the tank to test his tank's true tankiness in his ability to tank. And once again, now whichever payload comes out of that, you know, pretty much unscathed because the tank was doing his job, then they win. They get a point. And long story short, whoever has the most points at the end of it will get, you know, it will be, you know, you'll win. And if it comes down to, you know, okay, this team has 2 points, this team has 2 points, then it's coming down to the nitty gritty of how much the tank actually took for DPS, and how much the DPS actually did, and how much the healers actually healed. It will come down to that. I think that is a very, very good game mode to have in the game, right? Of course, we want to do things that have, like, you know, rewards. We don't just want to do it just because nobody's really going to do it, right? They can have different seasonal rewards and things like that. Glamour, different types of glamour. They can have a 4-person mount. And I also did think about, like, they can do this as single player as well. Everybody picks a DPS class and they just go straight to the DPS checkpoint, and everybody just runs their DPS, and whoever has the best DPS, who doesn't mess up on a rotation, who kills the most enemies, so on and so forth. We can do it for single players as well. You know, we can get the single player mounts and everything. Like, you will be rewarded for what you are doing. I don't know what the rewards are. I don't think that's my job to figure out what the rewards are. I think that's the dev's job to figure out what, you know, people would like to get. But I think, you know, in the 4-player, the team one, there should be like a 4-player mount that people can get. And the single player one, you know, single player mount with glams and so on and so forth. There's a couple of more things that I do want to touch on content, but I'm gonna circle back to it. Right, you hear that? That's that 9 to 5 life cubicle talk, right? I'm gonna circle back to that, Bob. Okay, and then after I bring up my next couple things that I think should be here, and then we'll come back to the last 2 points of content. Right now, one of the next things that I have in here, what's next after level 100, right? We know that they said level 100 is the cap. We're not getting any more levels after that. And I don't know the exact wordage, but I'm pretty sure they said base levels, if not. So we're stuck at level 100. So with the next expansion, what's going to happen, right? This brings in my idea. Maybe they already thought about this, but if they didn't, I called it first. And if I didn't call it first, too damn bad. But awakenings, right, or limit breaks, like in Final Fantasy XI, specialization of classes, so on and so forth. So, you know, for instance, you know, we're level 100 now. We have a warrior level 100, and now he's getting his awakening or his limit break. And what to do to get to that point, not for me to decide, but I do have some options that can be used for limit break, right? For a limit break, maybe there should be like a true 1v1 hard boss fight for said class to be able to get that limit break. After you beat that boss, that 1v1 did you do, then you get the limit break for said class, right? Now, people might not like that. That's cool. It's not for everybody. I don't even know if I'm a fan of that, to be honest. I'm a fan of having subclasses / awakening type of deals, right? So one thing that we can do is for the awakenings, and maybe we've all played Call of Duty for the most part, right? You get to level 100, reset the level. Now we go back down to level 1 with everything that we've learned, and go back to level 100. And then when you get to level 100 again, you unlock so-called light levels, or whatever they want to call it, right? So now we're level 100 again. We awakened at level 100 the second time around, and now after this we can get extra levels up to level 150. But your base level is still 100, but now for this new class, your class level is level 50, so you're technically 150, or whatever the case may be. Maybe that's an idea, maybe not, because now essentially, not even essentially, like the game, since level 100 is capped right now, the game is really truly based off of gear. It's a gear game now. If we don't have any awakenings or limit breaks for classes, it's really truly a gear game, right? Now you have to get the best gear and find, you know, the most best gear to min-max everything, right? And to that point, we're going to circle back to the content, right? And how this ties in together with gear and content in the game. So now that we are a gear game, and say they don't do light levels, whatever, it's just gear, what they can do for content wise is re-release all the dungeons in the game for prior content to hard mode, essentially level 100 for the first, you know, just for every dungeon up to level 100, there's a hard mode for it now, right? And the reason why we want to do this is because we can utilize replayability and reusable gear, right? What some other MMOs do, to my knowledge, we'll just use RuneScape. RuneScape is a game where a lot of the older content and the gear and equipment is still viable today. Something that's came out 10 years ago can still be used very usefully in the game today in RuneScape. So why not can't or, you know, will Final Fantasy 14 do the same thing? And I feel like this is a way that they can do it, right? So we re-released these dungeons to level 100, and now inside these dungeons, it's not the same gear that you would normally get. It's elemental gear, right? Now we're having a whole new elemental system in this game, right? I know Eureka has elemental factors that play in it. Now let's just expand on that. Expand on it. So now, for instance, to do the new operational field, or, you know, Eureka or whatever, or just to do newer content that they release in the game, it can be elemental based. So now I have to go into said dungeon with poison gear on, because that's what the enemies are weakest to. And how do I get this gear? Maybe there was a dungeon back in ARR where it had nothing but poison in it, and now when I beat that dungeon at level 100, it drops poison gear, and I can use that poison gear to do the new content, right? Now, each, you know, I don't know if you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, okay? If you made it this far into the video and you're picking up what I'm putting down, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to this channel. I would greatly appreciate it, because we are still playing Final Fantasy 14. So now this gives us a reason to play back the old content, because 1, it's on hard mode. 2, there's going to be new drops. 3, there's going to be new drops. Now I have to farm out gear for these new elemental dungeons and stuff that are coming out. I think that will, you know, spice it up a bit, and now we just can't run these dungeons unless you have these gear. Now, if I go into, say, this fire dungeon and I don't have the proper water gear on for this fire dungeon, I'm gonna get washed. It's gonna be pointless. I'm gonna have to leave because I gotta go gear out for this water gear to help me beat this fire dungeon, right? Let me know down if you like that. I think that's a great idea. It brings back old content, makes it harder. It brings a new sense of a grind for better equipment and better gear in elemental gear. So now we have elemental sets that we need to get to increase our thing. I mean, you know, that can only go so far as well too. So it's not an end all be all, but I do think it can add some different things to the game. And now the last thing that I wanted to talk about, and I saved it for last because this is more so like an open-ended kind of thing that we're going to talk about here, and it is the class system. Okay, the class system, or not even a class system, it's just classes in the game in general, jobs, classes, whatever you want to call them. Do we need more of them? Oh, yeah, of course there's more of them that we need. There's a whole Final Fantasy universe that's out there that we can pull classes from and everything, so on and so forth. At this point right here in this video, what I am going to say, people are probably going to attack and say, well, the devs don't want to do that, and the devs need to do this. It's hard for balance, and it's this, that, and I don't care. I truly do not care. This is all, you know, opinionated anyway. So whatever you say about the devs and what they want to do and how they want to do, if they never came out with a statement themselves saying they don't want to do that, and you're just speculating on what the devs want to do or might not want to do or don't want to balance, or blah, 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 keep it to yourself, because I truly don't care. So the first things first, I know for a fact that the devs said this, but Blue Mage and Beastmasters, please make them playable on all content. Do whatever you got to do to balance them out and make them playable on all content, because I think these classes, these are two of my like favorite classes to play in Final Fantasy, especially Beastmaster. If any game I can be a Beastmaster in, I am 1000% gonna be a Beastmaster, and I feel like they need to make these characters very, very playable and usable, right? But going on to the classes, these are some of the classes. I talked about subclasses earlier, and I think this is how the subclasses should work, in my opinion, right? So now we have these level 100 classes, and maybe, this is just, you know, maybe, let's just say, for instance, if you're a black mage, you're level 100, now you open up the subclass. Now you can either be a time mage or a geomancer, right? Cool. You get to pick between them, and now you can spec out into time mancer. You want to be a time mancer. I know time mancer is not going to be in the game. They already talked about it and squash it. I'm just throwing it out there as an example. Okay, cool. Calm down, everybody. And then, like, for instance, you could put a samurai, turn a samurai. You could subclass into a fencer or a spellblade. A machinist could turn into a sniper or a cannoneer. You know, a scholar could turn into a chemist or an alchemist. A ninja could turn into an assassin or a trickster. A warrior could turn into a Viking or Templar. Like, there's so many things that we can do with subclasses, and I think that they would fit and work in the game properly by, you know, however the devs want to do it, whatever they choose to do. But I do think some type of subclass could be in the game or asked for or something like that. Once again, that could bring new content into the game. There's new characters. So, you know, so now if you are a warrior and, you know, you was like, man, I love the warrior abilities. I wish I can not have to tank with the warrior, and I can, you know, be a subclass, and like and be a DPS. Now you can spec into Viking and be a DPS, and you don't even have to be a tank. I don't know the basics of how it will work, but that's just along the lines of what I think it would work. Man, like I mean I think that's pretty much it on what I would like to see at this current moment in Final Fantasy XIV. Once again, I am still new to the game, right? But I think me being new to the game and me bringing, you know, some ideas that might not have been heard or might have been talked about over the years, because this is a 10-year-old game, so people probably had some of these ideas or not. It's okay. It's just a discussion. You know, nothing's set in stone, and like I said, this could never happen, or if it does happen, I will recall this video and be like, I said it here first, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know down in the comments below, if you made it this far in the video, what kind of classes or what anything you would add to Final Fantasy XIV to make the game better, or what things you would take away to make the game better, because sometimes, you know, you don't always have to add. You can subtract things to make a game better. Well, just let me know what you guys think the future of Final Fantasy XIV can hold, and what kind of content you guys are looking for. Okay, I've just been yapping away, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. My name is Marz, for those of you who don't know, and I will catch you guys in the next video. I'm out of here. Peace.